This is our 2023 NBA redraft. There's only about 10, 11 games left in the NBA season, and we feel like it's about time. Okay, I feel like we did this last year. Wait, did we do one last year?
So we didn't do a redraft, but what we did, and we'll link it, or just throw up a little sidebar. But what we did is we just did a post draft grade on every pick before the season had even started, which. Looking back in retrospect, it really could not look great.
It's only been 2 years though.
It has. I do remember we did not like the Brandon Miller pick at all at the time. I think we gave that like a C- or something, and I think definitely it's not a C- anymore. Safe to say.
I mean, but that's the thing I always believed in. Okay, let's just go ahead and get into it. And we can talk about players as we go. I'll start first. We're gonna alternate in the redraft, and I'm gonna take situation a little bit into account because it's so recent and we 100% know the situations. First, we can't do that like for a team 10 years. Even though I watched the NBA 10 years ago, it's like no one's memory is that good where they remember vividly every single little piece that was going on.
Least of all the worst teams in the NBA. Like whatever team got the number one pick 10 years ago, whether it was like, who was it, Philadelphia?
Yeah, that's the only team I could remember their situation because they had so many bigs.
Like, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, I wasn't watching the bad teams during the regular season as a kid because I didn't want to. I wanted to watch the good teams.
Even still, I barely do. So
yeah. So
number one pick, I'm going to go ahead and start. You're taking Wemby again, very easily. Easily a future greatest player of all time. Hopefully he recovers soon. But even with this injury, he's number one.
Yeah, I got no argument to that. He's number one. If you put anyone else at number one, you're a fool. I mean, if he has some sort of crazy Ralph Sampson-esque career-ending injury, then obviously you make arguments. But as of right now, he's still far and away the best player in the draft. Yeah, not much else to say.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm personally still going Brandon Miller at number two.
I don't like that.
Charlotte already had LaMelo at point guard, right? It would be the same problem that you're seeing in Portland right now with Scoot having to find time to develop as a playmaker next to Anthony. And LaMelo just accentuates that issue even more because LaMelo is clearly the starting point guard of the future for that team. Like far and away. Anthony is a guy that you could look at and be like, he might be better as a bench player, but you would never bench LaMelo for Scoot in any capacity.
Oh, you're talking about Scoot though. I wouldn't have picked either number two.
Really? You don't think you would? I mean, Brandon Miller has just shown such great scoring ability at that position.
That's fine, but Amin Thompson can learn that scoring ability.
I mean, he can, but
I also think I love the idea of Amin Thompson and LaMelo being a 1 and 2 because they both can handle the ball. They're both great passers. And then Amin Thompson, he's the perfect defender next to LaMelo Ball. You already have that point of attack guy.
I guess, yeah.
The athleticism when it comes to the full court, the fast break of Miles Bridges and Amin Thompson catching lobs from LaMelo, I think it'd just be so fun. And I think Brandon Miller is a good player, but I feel like bits and pieces of his game you can get from other players versus a guy like Amin Thompson is the most athletic player in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, and okay, because you talked about Brandon Miller and you picked him, I'll talk about it. Brandon Miller's a great player, scoring wise. It's just like he's played in Charlotte so far. Don't get me wrong, he's just been pretty inefficient, and that's not unnormal for scoring players really early in their careers. But there's just something special about Amin, and that's why I'd go him number 3.
Yeah, no, I like number 3.
Yeah,
you mean number 2?
Both. Well, that's why with my number 3 pick, I am going Amin Thompson.
So who are you going with number 2 to Charlotte?
Oh no, I'm saying, well, I would have you because you went Brandon Miller, I'd go Amin Thompson number 3. But if I had number 2 pick, I'd also pick Amin Thompson. Yeah. Okay. So I know, and it's still Scoot is in that discussion. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But yeah, Scoot and LaMelo, that fit. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I can go ahead and talk about Portland. It doesn't matter fit for them. All they have really is Anthony Simons. They didn't have Klingon at the time. They don't really have any young pieces because Kamara was later in this draft. And because you don't need anything specifically, you just take the guy with the most potential. I thought going into the draft that Amin Thompson had the most potential, even though I thought Scoot was a better prospect. And it's crazy how a lot of people switched up. I think people are actually, I'm still super high on him. I think people are hyping Amin Thompson up a little too much now because of his play. I don't think his play has been that impressive. But I think because of what I knew before the draft and because I know how much better he can get, that's why I love him so much. But people, I don't know, I just saw certain people talk about him being an all-star, and I just always thought that was a little crazy because he hasn't done that much to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like the combination of Anthony Simons and Amen Thompson. I like his combination with anyone who's a scoring guard, and that's why it's worked so well with Jalen Green, in my opinion. And eventually, when they get rid of Fred VanVleet, it's gonna be a nasty duo.
Yeah. No, it'll be good, and that's where I would have picked Amen too. I mean, I don't have any hate against Scoot. I don't necessarily think he needs to drop below third, given the potential that he still has. But fit wise, Amen is just such a better fit next to Anthony, and with that team already. At number 4, this is tough for me because for me, Scoot is still the most talented prospect
For sure.
at this spot.
It's the one with the most potential as well, in my opinion.
But it's hard to say, you know, this is, I wanted to ask, do you remember if they had signed Fred VanVleet before the 2023 draft?
It was no, because the draft's always before. It was in the rumors though that Fred VanVleet was going to be a Rocket. That's
Right.
actually why I'm pretty sure I gave Ahmed Thompson an F. But that was just because I was so mad that I knew they were going to get Fred VanVleet, and I wanted Ahmed Thompson to play the 1. Now looking back, I don't think Ahmed Thompson's a 1. He is more of like a 2 guard.
Yeah.
Just because like he has great vision, but his handle just isn't there. His ability to just create isn't.
Yeah.
But I think it's like they were. But if they got Scoot. If Scoot Henderson fell to 4, because I remember Rockets fans, because I was on Twitter actively at this time. Rockets fan, and I always am during the draft because I love just seeing what fans' opinions are.
Yeah.
Rockets fans loved, a lot of them love Scoot. So
Yeah.
if they get Scoot, they don't get Fred VanVleet, and they probably spend that money still on a different player. I don't remember who it is, but it's someone else.
So I think then at 4, you got to take Scoot. I think it's a great opportunity for him to get starting experience at the 1 right away. Because that team does not have a true. I mean, even still, they don't really have a true point guard. They
No.
run a lot of their playmaking through Şengün, and
Well, Fred's still a true point guard.
He's a point guard in stature, but not in play style.
I can see that.
You know, he plays like a 2, but he just has the stature of a 1. Jalen Green's obviously, a really good scoring guard, but again, he's not gonna play that primary playmaking position. So I think putting Scoot in Houston gives him time to develop. I would just hope that he's on the timeline of the team, because as we've obviously seen, it's taken him a couple years to get to the point where he's at now, where he really seems to be getting comfortable. And I would just hope that he doesn't get his playing time cut because Houston starts having success and they want to push for that right away.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that's the best fit for him personally.
With this number 5 pick, because yeah, I agree. I would have gone with Scoot also. I don't know, and the reason is like, Asar Thompson has been great, like really good, but he also has some injury concerns very early in his career. But all the other players that match up to him, in my opinion, also have those injury concerns. So yeah, Asar Thompson is my number 5 pick in the redraft still. Yeah. He's still like, okay, here's the thing. I wanted them to pick a shooter, I believe, in this draft. But the fact that like looking back, you can get so many shooters like they did now in free agency. You do go with the best prospect. And besides Cam Whitmore, Asar Thompson at the time was probably the best prospect. And Whitmore has been really good, but we've just seen Asar already fit so well,
Yeah.
So I'm staying with him. He also has just as, I don't think he'll be as good as Amen, but potential wise, he's just as high.
Yeah, I think it's tough because obviously as you look at names on this list, you could point to guys that, maybe are playing at a slightly more impactful level now, but what Asar has between his defensive ability and his athleticism and his room to grow offensively, I mean, that top 5, still just looking at it, could be one of the better top 5s we've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
in the draft.
Like there actually is, especially the top 4. There's a huge drop off in my opinion. Like, or no,
you think from Amen to Asar, there's a huge drop off. I mean, right now, obviously, Amen is playing at a higher level.
You know what? Potential wise, no. But I'm talking about right now. I think there is, unless you want to count Lively. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, we can just keep going.
Yeah,
Asar was at 5. Yeah,
number 6, Anthony Black. I don't know how to feel about Anthony Black, personally.
he's a really good defender. He
Mm-hmm.
can play make. The problem is, and it's still personally, I did a lot of research on this draft class, so I feel like everything that I've said has kind of stood up. He's still just a guy who's a good playmaker, but he's not a good offensive player. When it comes to creating space off the dribble, he
Mm-hmm.
still can't do that. And that's one of the big reasons that Orlando, their offense has been so stagnant, even with Paulo and Franz being very good offensively. It's
No,
like you
because
get nothing off that bench right now.
Orlando, and that's, I mean, Orlando has built a team of really good defenders. They just don't have like Paulo certainly can play make, but they just don't have like anybody who I look at and I'm like, yeah, put you at the top of the key one on one as a guard. I'm gonna trust you to go get a bucket.
They don't have
you
a
know?
bucket. That's it.
They don't.
have a single
They don't.
bucket.
Like, I mean, like Paulo's a bucket, Franz is a bucket, but they just don't have like a guard. So
You could even maybe say Jalen Suggs, but he's been out too much.
yeah. So looking at that pick, it's tough.
To be honest, there really isn't that many buckets in this draft
No.
class.
Pods is a guy who can get you a bucket, but as shown at the beginning of the season, he was inconsistent, and he's certainly. I don't know that talent wise he's better than Anthony Black in a way that would warrant moving it up. Keontae George is obviously a guy who, is a scorer, but again inconsistent. And Orlando at this time already had Wendell Carter Jr.
Dude, I'm gonna be. Actually, yeah. If you want to talk about like just talents, the pick probably is like Derek Lively or Kason Wallace or
Yeah.
something. But to be honest, and I know he doesn't get many minutes right now,
Mm-hmm.
but Cam Whitmore hasn't shown me anything that says he shouldn't have gone redrafted in the top 6-7.
No, and I really wish he would have been, honestly, because the amount of playing time he's getting in Houston is kind of criminal. Every time I see him play, I look at him and I'm like, you should be getting more minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
I swear I saw the box score. Nah, I was box score watching. Don't get me wrong, but it said like 2 minutes and 10 points for Cam Whitmore, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. And they put him in like when the game was already blown out, like 20,
Yeah.
25 point game, but still.
and I know I think he's come out and vocalized that he wanted more playing time. And yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. That team's obviously, pretty damn good. And they've got a lot of young guys who deserve playing time.
You know what? There is a couple buckets in this draft class, dude.
Mhm.
Bryce Sensabaugh, Julius Strother. I'm not saying you pick him here at 6, but like
Yeah.
those guys actually are some buckets. There's some decent choices, man.
No, there is. All that being said, you know, I think at that number 6 pick, ooh,
You got to pick someone, and to be honest,
I know.
whoever you pick is going to be better than whoever they actually got. Dude, Jet Howard and Anthony Black. I like Anthony Black. I still think he's a great player.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like him for Orlando. I feel like they're already so good defensively that they don't need more. And it's shown like their winning percentage right now is not great compared to what it should be, what it was early in the season.
Yeah. You know what? At number 6, I think I'm taking Grady Dick out of everybody.
You know what's crazy? Okay. If we go back to the 2023 NBA draft night, you say that's not crazy. Right now, he's been like a 15-point scorer. Don't get
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
I look at him and I say, here's a guy who, you can play at the 2 or play at the 1, depending on what kind of lineup you want to run. It's not going to be... Look, there's not a ton of great playmakers as I go through this draft class.
It's just so many glue guys. That's it.
There's a lot of glue guys. There's a lot of guys that could start. There's a few buckets. There's not a ton of guys past, like, the top 4, really, that are guys that I'm like, you're going to be a high-level playmaker. That being said, I think Grady Dick has the most potential to be a playmaker out of those top guys. I think he's still obviously developing his skill set. And I think he fits well. I think he's a guy who can space the floor next to guys like Paulo and Franz. Franz can obviously space the floor, but it's in a little bit more of a passive way. A lot of catch and shoot. He's obviously going to be better going to the rim. Same with Paulo. So having that guy who, could be eventually a Tyler Hero type player fits well I think in that scheme.
I don't
So
hate it at all.
huh?
I was just saying I don't hate it.
Yeah,
I like
I'll
that.
take him at 6.
Number 7. We're just gonna assume it's Washington, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what it was draft night. Even though we're looking at Indiana. To be honest, I kind of like. It's really between him and Derek Lively. And we're not obviously, like what they have Sar now. We're not talking about because they didn't have
Right.
Sar at the time. And I think I'm gonna go Derek Lively.
Yeah.
I think this is like actually, yeah. The more I think about it, it's really a no-brainer. We saw what he did in the playoffs, what he's done in the regular season. Um, he's just one of those. He's a really special defensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been able to hide Luka and Kyrie and a bunch of. I'm not gonna say Kyrie's a bad defender. Luka is a bad defender.
Yeah.
He's just been able to make up for them. And overall, I still think, looking at him, how he played at Duke and how he's played on the Mavericks, the playmaking's there. Where he's not a guy who's gonna make an amazing pass like Jokic or anything.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who he's smart with the ball. He's smart with the ball, and I still believe that there's always a chance if this dude does get a jumper,
Mm-hmm.
he'll be one of the best centers in the league.
Definitely.
I think at the time of the draft, I said there was only like 4 centers that I thought had more value in the league than Lively when he
Yeah.
was drafted. So I've always been high on Lively, and Bilal Coulibaly is a great player. I could have picked him again, and I wouldn't have been mad at anyone who did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just more of me being high on Lively than being low on Coulibaly.
Yeah, and it sucks to take them or take that pick away from the Mavericks because he's such a perfect fit on Dallas, or was, I guess. I don't yet to see how he's gonna fit
Yeah.
with whatever team ends up coming out of this whole situation. But no, I think even if he never develops a jumper, he's still definitely. I still see him as a top 10 center, even with no jumper, just because he's. I mean, he's not like the best center, but he's a perfect center. Like when you think about everything that you want out of the center position, when you can put other guys around them who fill the roles they're supposed to fill, he does everything you could ask from a center. He's athletic, he rebounds, he plays defense at a high level, he can play make,
Relatively fast for being
Yeah.
7-2
yeah.
or 7-1, whatever he is.
I mean, really, he does in year 2 anything you could ask of him. So the only thing he can do is now surpass expectations because frankly, I feel like he's already met them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that pick at 7. 8, we're saying that's going to Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana is a team with a lot of offense and not very much perimeter defense at all.
Which is great for this draft because there's a lot of
It is
perimeter
great
defense
for this
remaining.
draft. Yeah, it's just a matter of who do you want? Who do you want where?
So just to remind people, there's still Anthony Black, Bilal Coulibaly, Jarris Walker, Taylor Hendricks, obviously. Cason Wallace is a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hawkins, Buffkin. There's a bunch of guys late first round, but those are pretty much the main ones.
For me, it's between 2 guys. It's between Anthony Black and Cason Wallace.
Yeah.
Cason Wallace has more upside offensively. Anthony Black is obviously the better defender. And I would give Anthony Black the playmaking edge. Yeah, personally, I'm going to go Anthony Black there at that pick.
I like that.
I know you're sacrificing a little bit offensively between him and Cason Wallace, but they already have Benedict Mathurin.
Oh, did you say you're picking Anthony Black?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd take Anthony Black there.
interesting.
Personally, I just think even if he's, running with the second unit, he provides more to that team than he does for Orlando.
Right.
And I think he really in terms of being able to put a guy next to Tyrese Halliburton who can guard the best player on the other team, I feel like he can do that already. I feel like he's got enough defensive ability and wherewithal to be able to do that even at this stage in his career.
But you don't think Cason Wallace has that?
I like Cason Wallace. I just feel like Anthony Black, also stature-wise, because Anthony Black is 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'5", maybe even 6'6".
6'6", long wingspan. You can put him on either of the team's best guards. And you can probably do that with Cason Wallace too. It's just for me, Cason Wallace has been in and this should not be a detriment to him, but he's been in a setting where he's been surrounded by good defenders for the first 2 years of his career. That to me, and Anthony Black has too, but just he's taken a bench role throughout the first 2 years of his career, and he definitely has yet to be in a situation where he has to be the primary defender on the other team's best perimeter player.
But I think Casey Wallace is in a different situation where there's too much talent around him. He hasn't even been able to show how good he is.
No, that's absolutely true, but I can only go off of what I've seen in some ways.
That's
right?
fair. So I think about how the Pacers were successful last year, and it was because of Andrew Nembhard.
Yeah.
I think Casey Wallace could potentially play that role even better. Like when I look at him, Casey Wallace is a better shooter. He actually can create a little bit more separation. I actually think they're pretty relatively similar defensively. Yeah, probably Black's more versatile, but when you talk about guarding ball, because you never want Tyrese Halliburton guarding ball.
No.
If you just talk about guarding ball, I'm taking Casey Wallace. Casey Wallace, no, they're about the same age. I don't know. I see something in him. Like I don't hate the Anthony Black. Like it's a good fit. Don't get me wrong, but I think I just like the player more in Casey Wallace.
And that's totally fair. My mind kind of goes to that series last year that they played against Boston. And like even though did Boston sweep them or did they win at 5?
Who?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana.
Yeah.
Boston swept them.
Yeah, Indiana had a chance to win at least 2 of those games. Like in a lot of ways, that series should have gone to 6 because Indiana had opportunities. But just in throwing Anthony Black, even into that series, the ability to put another guy on, Jaylen Brown or even Jason Tatum, who can compete with them. Like, I don't remember who they had matched up against who in that series, but certainly they struggled to stop Boston from, getting open threes.
So you want a guy who's more likely to guard Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum?
I guess, because...
But then if you're going for that, then why aren't you going Bilal Coulibaly? Because he's even more versatile.
Defensively, yeah. I just feel like there's only so much room for guys who are extremely lopsided defensively when it comes to like their ability on offense versus their ability on defense. Like we've talked about it a few times.
So you think Anthony Black's not that?
I think with his playmaking ability, he's not going to get played off the court. Like I think he can still have an impact offensively, even if he's not scoring.
And you think Bilal can get played off the court offensively?
Yeah.
Really? Bilal has not been bad.
He hasn't been bad.
I'm trying to see the numbers actually. I kind of
like it's a little it's hard to see. I mean, I guess Bilal has more points and more minutes, but
he's shooting
43% from the field, 31 from 3.
Versus Anthony Black shoots 34%
from 3 and 43% from the field. And if you think about the shots he's going to be getting on Indiana versus Orlando, he'll probably be getting more open threes.
So who do you think's taking harder shots right now, Anthony Black or Bilal? Because in my opinion,
right now probably Bilal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just personally wouldn't trust the numbers. I actually think if I had to guess, and we can look into it later, Bilal's improved a lot more this season shooting wise. And that's just from what I've seen.
That might be true. Yeah, that might be true. I'm not going to go out there and act like I've watched a bunch of Wizards games. So
yeah, so I don't know. I'm just personally not very high on Anthony Black. I never was, and he's actually proven me a little bit wrong. But at the same time, the offense of the Orlando Magic has not proven me wrong because he's still getting 20. Well, he's probably getting like at least 22 minutes a night this season.
Yeah,
and he's a big reason for it. He's not the only reason. I'm never going to say that. But just to put your team in that scenario of being so bad offensively, I really don't like. And
I get that. I feel like people had this conversation a lot about, let's say, Lonzo early in his career. He just has the physical tools to be able. It's the same. It's not quite the same as like an Aswar Thompson, but he has the physical tools where it's like defensively and playmaking wise, he's not going to get played off the court. If he can just develop his shot more, then he's a guy that you could easily see in a lot of starting lineups.
But if that's the case, no pun intended, Case and Wallace will never get played off the court. He never will.
No, that's true.
So we could probably talk about this for.
It is wild looking at, because Dallas picked Case and Wallace originally, and OKC picked Derek Lively.
Yeah.
Both those guys ended up in like perfect situations for them.
Yeah, if it was flipped. Ooh, actually, I kind of like Case and Wallace in Dallas.
Yeah,
And I
but
like Lively in OKC. Okay, either way, I think it would have been good.
but okay, so Lively goes to OKC, they probably don't get Hartenstein in the offseason, and they probably spend that money somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Um I guess Derek Lively next to Chad. I mean, it's a fine, like, I don't mind it at all. It's kind of similar to what Dallas did at times last postseason, with Derek Lively and Gafford.
Yeah.
But like, I think it worked out better for both of them to be where they are right now.
Yeah, probably. So I have the 9th pick for the Utah Jazz. And I'm really deciding who I want to pick because there's still guys in the lottery that I believe in. Ooh, there's not many actually. But I still kind of believe in Jarris Walker, but I don't think he'll even go in the lottery in this redraft just because he hasn't shown as much as like any other guy. The Utah Jazz, so the only position at this time that I think is like completely like you don't really want to touch it because they're showing potential is Walker Kessler, especially because like this year, Walker Kessler was like amazing, right? But luckily, there's not even any bigs left. So you could just pick anyone, whoever is the best option available. And to me, I think that because you want to take a risk, you don't just want like a complimentary young guy. You want to take a risk of someone who has star potential.
Yeah.
Technically, you can say that is Keontae George, but I don't think I'll pick him there. That's a little too high.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go.
I'm curious. I think I know who you're going here.
I don't know because I just changed it actually. Just talking.
My God.
I think I just changed it. I think I'm going GG. No. I'm going Koulibaly. I'm going Koulibaly. I have to go Koulibaly.
Really?
Yeah, I think I do. I don't see any other. Okay, you know what? If you want to ask me what I would have done on draft night here, I totally would have picked Kobe Buffkin. Like I'm not gonna lie, but like looking back, you can't. Buffkin's shot has been so bad, even though I still believe in him as a player. There's just okay. So it's between Koulibaly, GG Jackson. Because you know what? Never mind. I haven't picked it. I'm still really deciding. Wait. Oh no.
Corbett,
I think I know who
you're on the clock.
I'm going Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
That's
we
who
go.
you were thinking
There
of.
we
And
go.
that makes the most sense. He has the
Yeah.
most potential to be a star. I think in this Utah Jazz situation, he probably is a star, especially because they don't have. Oh yeah, at this time,
Yeah.
they have no young players besides Kessler.
Nope.
I'm trying to think of anyone else they'd have in.
This year was when they got a lot of their young players.
Yeah.
They got Keontae George. They got Bryce Sensabaugh. I feel like they got another guy too, but maybe I'm just making that up.
No, I don't think you are, but we're blanking. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Cam Whitmore is probably showing star potential. The only reason he fell.
Oh, Taylor Hendricks.
Oh,
but he got
right,
hurt.
Yeah. But he got hurt. I still. I also think Taylor Hendricks just hasn't shown enough to be a lottery redraft, even though I think he can be that kind of talent.
Yeah, and I hope obviously he speedy recovery, comes back, healthy, but yeah.
So I, honestly, now that I saw Cam Whitmore, now it seems very obvious.
Yeah.
I actually don't think there's much to talk about.
No.
The fact that he fell was stupid.
We talked about it before too. I think you put him in a situation like that where he gets minutes and gets shots, he's going to really take off, especially in that system,
For sure.
where it's like, hey, it's just you. It's you and Jordan Clarkson. That's who's going to be taking 30 shots a game.
That would have been so fun, him having his own team.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's really what it would have been. And they would have been so much... Oh, no, they wouldn't have been so much worse because Hendricks wasn't great.
It's unfortunate because if you look at, like, the teams right after, it was, like, Brooklyn back-to-back and Portland. So if Cam Whitmore just falls one more, he's getting put in a situation where he just gets so many more shots.
Yeah.
Like... Brooklyn back-to-back, Portland, and then I guess, Sacramento, Memphis, Indy. He's going to have a hard time getting shots, but...
Even though, I'm not going to lie, how many games does that say Hendricks? He only played half the season last year. The Jazz actually didn't play their young players that much.
Was he hurt or did he not play?
I don't think
he played 21 minutes a game when he played.
So that was probably like those last 20 games where they were really tanking, I guess.
That might have been.
Which, I mean, if you give Cam Whitmore that, yeah, he's killing it. Because I don't even think the Rockets got that. Because, yeah, the Rockets... could have made the play-in last year. So.
It's actually wild that Cam Whitmore gets, if I'm reading that right, 11 minutes a game on his career.
Yeah. Wait, is that what it says? That's crazy.
No, it might not be. It might be. Never mind. I read that wrong. He averages 11 points a game in 18 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say 11 minutes a game is crazy, but yeah, right. No. Okay, number 10.
Number 10. This goes to OKC.
OKC. So we're flipping it. Just give him Case and Wallace again.
That's
Like,
crazy. Casey
I
Wallace fell again, but it makes sense. I think everything we've done makes besides.
I don't know who else here. We already picked Derek Lively. You gave him to Washington,
Yeah,
so I think Cason Wallace here just he's a great fit on that team. I don't know anyone else that I would really look at and be like Cam Whitmore maybe if he didn't just get picked. So
I don't think I would have liked Cam Whitmore on OKC to be
you
honest.
think he really?
I like their whole defensive thing going
Yeah,
on.
that's true.
Um,
Yeah, no, I think that's the best. I don't honestly have
him
much.
or no. Okay, so it has to be Casey Wallace, right?
Yeah,
But if Casey Wallace was taken, like let's say you picked him instead of Anthony Black,
right.
Jaime Jaquez could have been a decent fit, I think. Well, just a guy who's like older, who like is
I mean,
more
yeah,
NBA
fits
ready.
their timeline more. I mean, if you even want to really talk about it.
Then again, OKC did not know they'd have this timeline
Yeah, that's the
before.
thing. When they're and so if we're going off the mentality of this draft, they're not gonna draft a guy that's older.
Yeah, for
Case
sure.
and Wallace just kind of happened to work out where he was like ready right away. Um, I mean, even with the knowledge that we have now, you could look at a guy like Trace Jackson Davis and be like, if they draft him there, they might fill that Hartenstein role a little bit.
Right, but Casey Wallace is just the best
But
prospect
yeah,
left to me, to be honest.
absolutely.
Okay, so who did you pick? Oh, you got Grady Dick
Mm-hmm.
for the Orlando Magic.
Yes.
So for that reason, I'm gonna go someone who's a bit bigger, who
Mm-hmm.
has potential.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what they did. I think they weren't great before this season, if I'm not wrong. I don't think that should matter that much. So at this point, though, in the draft, you do kind of just want, yeah, just fit and just talent, just that combination. And for
Yeah.
that reason, ooh, there's a couple good players.
So a few
But I think I
guys.
will go. Oh wait, you just got offense with Grady Dick.
Yeah.
I'm going Bilal. I think
Okay,
Bilal is
yeah.
the best prospect available. The only other argument, in my opinion, might be Gigi Jackson. But from what I've seen, like we can say that Orlando needs offense, but
Mhm.
if they don't get these defensive players, they're not going to have defense either. So they need at least one defensive prospect and one offensive one. And obviously, we're not picking. Well, we already got the offensive one, but
Yeah.
Jet Howard is just. I'm not a fan. He hasn't been too terrible so far, but he's not.
He's got time.
Its
to figure
impact
it
doesn't
out, but
show.
He's. I mean, when you. This is what I like to look at too. Sometimes, is look at the number of minutes the guys drafted around him are playing, and look at the number of minutes he's playing. So it goes like, Koulibaly 30 minutes, Drace Walker
13.
13. Damn, he's not getting minutes.
Wow. No.
Taylor Hendricks 21. Cason Wallace 24. Jet Howard's getting 9 minutes a game, and that's in 73 career games over 2 years. So the fact that
Oh my gosh, he shoots under 30% from three.
yeah,
He's a
that's
shooter.
bad.
He's a shooter.
That's
but then
bad.
again, it's a low sample size. But then again, you earn your minutes through practice and through what he played in the G League a lot in that rookie year.
Yeah,
Um,
I think best case scenario for him is getting into a different situation probably because I don't know how he's going to get more minutes in Orlando at this point in time.
yeah,
But anyway, so you're going Bilal at 11.
I'm going Bilal, easily best prospect available. I still think he has offensive upside. It just hasn't shown yet, especially because of the amount of responsibility for some reason he has in
Yeah.
Washington. But defensively, he's a killer. He's so young too, and
Yeah.
he's got the wingspan. He's got everything you need. I think it's an easy pick.
Yeah. Number 12 then.
So that's
Going to the Dallas Mavericks. No Derek Lively because he's already got picked. I think this is easy personally. I'm going to Monty Kamara at 12.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
That's good.
I love him in that scheme too, next to Luca and Kyrie. I think obviously he's not the same player as Derek Lively, but he's a damn similar player to PJ Washington who works really well in that system. So, even just looking at his numbers, I didn't know he was shooting this well, but 45% from the field, 36% from three. As a guy whose defense is your primary strength is damn good.
Also, that's for his career. I swear he's shooting way better this year too than last
Probably,
year.
yeah.
So-
And he's available. He hasn't gotten hurt really. So yeah, that's my pick there.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Number 13, Toronto Raptors. I don't think you just go for talent and the best talent left on the board. I'm looking through it. I think it has to be Gigi Jackson. This is where he goes.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily a long wing, but Toronto loves their wings. You get a guy, he has so much potential. He's been hurt this season, so he hasn't been great. But in that rookie season, he showed that there's a reason he should have gone higher. Let's just say that. Like,
I think 45th in the second round is a little bit low for a guy that's shown what he's shown.
I seriously think the only reason he fell that low was because he was just being stupid. I think he did something stupid on Instagram Live, like after a loss.
Hey.
I mean, he's literally the youngest player in the draft.
Perfect fit in Memphis.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Just overall 6'9", can shoot the crap out of the ball.
Yeah.
And that's like, if you can find tall guys who can shoot and they're not defensive liabilities, which I don't think GG Jackson is, and you're only 18, 19 years old, that's just a dream, especially because you're this late in the lottery.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And then we can go a couple more past the lottery, to be honest. I'm kind of down, but yeah, go ahead.
But number 14 is the New Orleans Pelicans, and they're always such a weird situation because you look at their roster and you're always like, where do you draft a guy to fit into that roster? Because for the last few years, they've had a point guard, they've had a shooting guard, they've had a small forward, they've had a power forward. Center's the only position you can look at and be like, it's kind of been a weird situation. Obviously, they've traded Brandon Ingram now, but at this time, they had.
Do they have a point guard? Have they ever had a point guard?
I mean,
besides Drew Holiday,
I guess DeJounte.
Well, now they have DeJounte. Yeah.
No, they didn't have a point guard actually. So I kind of forgot about that. Beginning of that year, they didn't really have like I guess people were high on Jose Alvarado because, there was like just his defense and
he had a great. I think it was the year before he had a great playoff run against the Suns.
But since then, I mean, he just hasn't really done a whole lot.
Yeah.
So on that team where you've got CJ, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and then Valanciunas, I guess, was their 5. Where do you even like?
So if I were you, I'd look toward just
I think
offensive guard.
That's what I think. I think you go for offense. I mean,
I
think I go Keontae George there.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because I look at some other guys in this draft and I could see them having more of a winning impact right away.
Yeah.
Which is the position I feel like New Orleans was in at this point in time. I do feel like, I mean, just the injuries have really killed them most years because they've really roster-wise been in a position to compete for the last 3-4 years, and they just can't get healthy at the right time. Obviously now I don't know what they're going to do. Zion's still only 23, and I think he's definitely still a franchise player that you can build around. But Brandon Ingram's gone, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, get Keontae George.
Oh, you know what? I think there's a better pick out there.
Really?
Call me crazy. I might go Trayce Jackson-Davis with this pick.
See, that's what I was thinking originally. I was like, it would not be crazy to go with him there. But the problem is the same thing you're seeing in Golden State right now, which is that you can't play him next to another big, especially not a true big like Valanciunas. And if he's coming off the bench, where are they going to find minutes for him? Like, he could certainly be a backup big.
I think they'd find minutes. I'm pretty sure they were playing Tice. I'm pretty sure that year they were playing Daniel Tice.
They might have been, actually.
Like, they had some pretty bad bigs. And I also think...
I mean, is it crazy to say Trayce Jackson-Davis starts over Valanciunas on that team?
Actually, that's not crazy at all.
Because defensively, he fits better next to Zion. You know what? I'm actually going to change it. I'm going Trayce Jackson-Davis at 14. I'm taking a page out of your book, and I'm going to change my pick. So
I mean, you can in this world. I guess you can.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
So I like that. Number 15, the Atlanta Hawks. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. To be honest, if we're talking about, I was so happy with the Kobe Buffkin pick, and I don't think I'm going to pick him again.
Yeah.
But that's not to say I don't believe in him still, because I still really do believe in him. He's just unfortunately had a lot of injury, bad luck. But still, like last year, I was saying Kobe Buffkin was the best defender on our team. That was before we got Dyson Daniels, and later in the draft we got Mo Gay. He's actually been a really good defender. But yeah. I still believe in him.
I know you're not a fan of a certain point guard who was supposed to be a great two-way player for the Hawks. So.
Oh yeah. We're not gonna talk about him. I don't like him.
Okay, so Kobe, you're still going Kobe Buffkin. At 15,
no.
Okay.
I'm not going there because it's a redraft, and I sometimes you just got to go with what you've seen so far.
Right.
And I just haven't seen enough from him. But the problem is, yeah, there's not that much. Like there is talent. You know what? If we just go like talent we've seen so far, give give me Pods.
Okay.
No, I don't like it. I'm going Buffkin.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going
I was
Buffkin.
gonna say,
I'm going
I'm like-
Buffkin. I'm going Buffkin. I don't care. I have no shame. Okay, I understand he hasn't shown much. I understand, but this is the guy who I had top 7, top 8, right next to Derek Lively in my big board at the time. And you know what? He hasn't shown me anything that says otherwise. Even though there's a lot of Hawks fans who don't believe in him, I believe in him, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
And also, we just had so many wings. Wait, did we have so many wings? Oh crap! I kind of want to change it again to Hawkes. Oh, I don't know. You know what?
That
No,
was-
no, I don't care. I'm going Buffkin. I already said it.
It's funny that you said Hawkes because that's the guy I was looking at first.
I just we
I want.
had Hunter.
I like
don't know.
Pods a lot. I don't know how well he would fit on that team.
Yeah,
Another
I don't like it either.
kind of
yeah.
like undersized point guard.
Yeah, because if you want a guy like that, you want him to be a potential point of attack guy, and that's why I like Kobe Buffkin because I think he is a potential really good point of attack defender.
Pods is a fine defender, but he's just not a guy I would want as my point of attack defender.
Yeah, especially next to Trae Young.
No. Okay. 16. Back to Utah.
Can't take Keontae George.
No.
You could
Wait,
literally take-
can't. No, we can. Because
Oh, did you change it?
I took Trace Jackson Davis. At
Oh
14.
right. Oh, you can.
So I could take Keontae.
That's funny.
George
You could
again.
take both Jazz players. You could take Hendricks too.
It could, yeah. It's really just a matter of. It's not a matter of anything, honestly.
I think
the problem is I don't want to take the boring pick, but
Who's the boring pick?
just taking Keontae again.
Actually,
At-
yeah. I
at
mean that's pretty
16.
boring, but
Like, so this is what we're just gonna alternate taking the exact same players now that we've gotten out of the lottery.
because yeah, now that I'm looking at the Heat, you might just want to take Hawkes again. Yeah, we could just end it
Yeah.
after here because I'm not going. A lot of the guys left are just solid, good role players.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see anyone else becoming a star.
like obviously I don't think the Lakers are taking Jalen Hood Shafino again.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I could see them taking like as we go
maybe
down,
Bryce
like-
Sensabaugh.
Yeah, I could take.
Or maybe you just take you. At this point, we are kind of disrespecting. I mean, Jarris Walker just hasn't gotten the minute. Oh no, you know what? He hasn't been great. Taylor Hendricks though actually just hasn't gotten the minutes.
Yeah,
Has he been shooting good? He shoots 37% from three.
that's good.
For just his rookie year. That's pretty good.
I'd take that.
I probably should have took him for the Hawks. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, Jalen Johnson. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's
Whatever.
right.
Yeah,
You can't-
it's like you can't play either. Oh, you can play Jalen Johnson at the three
When
technically.
was
but
Jalen Johnson drafted?
21 with Cade in them.
Was he actually?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he's been in the league that
Dude,
long.
no, that top 7. I think this top 7 has way more potential. But just what we've seen so far: Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Trey Murphy, Jalen Johnson, and I know there's one more I'm forgetting.
Jalen Green.
There's Jalen Green. I didn't say him on purpose, but I feel like there's someone else. I like Jalen Green, but I don't know.
I feel like he's still. I don't know.
He's.
Hey,
Have
you
ever
know what?
seen
I mean,
the
this-
idea of this Jalen Green is the last blank games guy. Where like, no, he's not consistent. But have you seen his last 5 games? He's averaging 27. Like that's actually what I saw recently.
I mean, yeah. I feel like I don't know, man. Jalen Green might be one of those guys that's like, you ever see those things that are like the idea of versus the reality of?
Yeah.
I think Jalen Green could be one of those guys where it's like the idea of Jalen Green is perfect. The reality of Jalen Green is a worse efficiency Zach LaVine, unfortunately, which is not bad by any means. It's just like I just wish he would like those spurts he shows where he averages 27 for 5 games. If he could just do that for half the year.
He just
Like-
needs to. I mean, he needs to do a lot of things, but just the two main things of like he's just so stupid sometimes. Once that just will just come with time, but he'll just make boneheaded decisions. And then I think he just needs to rely way more on his athleticism than his like shot or bag, because he's such an athletic guy where
Yeah.
he should be doing Ja Morant things, not trying to be. He shouldn't be trying to be modern day Levine. He should be trying to be modern day Ja Morant. I guess Ja
Yeah.
Morant has been great recently, but still. Actually,
yeah.
or go ahead.
We say modern day Ja Morant like that wasn't like 2 years, and he still does stuff now. But
He is still really good.
yeah,
I do want to go ahead and we could just run down some prospects from this class that I
Yeah.
thought like they didn't get drafted, but they they definitely should, at least in these next couple picks.
Mhm.
Obviously, a guy like Jarris Walker is just so young. I still want to believe in him, even though like he hasn't been. When he was picked by the Pacers, I thought he was going to be a guy where his defense just turned around the Pacers to make him an actual defensive team.
Yeah.
Has not happened, but he doesn't get that many minutes. So I mean, I don't blame him for that.
Yeah.
A guy like I still believe in a guy like Jordan Hawkins, even though the shot hasn't been great. I will say though, him shooting 35% from three for his career, he takes some tough threes. Like that's a guy where like he takes most of his shots are contested. You're not going to find him ever getting an open three.
Yeah.
So I still think he has time, but it's just then again he's such a skinny guy. Jalen Hood-Schifino recently has been hooping for the Sixers.
Has he?
He had like a game with I think 24 off the bench or something.
Good
Maybe it was
for
like
him.
18. I don't know, but
Good for him.
if he can find his footing, hey, that's how you find your footing. Go to these teams who are shamelessly tanking. Find your way to get traded
Hey
there.
man, Quentin Grimes figured out something.
Yeah. Shout out. Hawkins like didn't get drafted somehow, but yeah, he's obviously been good. Not as good this year.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I gotta just quickly hit on my guy Pods. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we didn't draft him. It's tough in terms of fit. I'm really high on him though on the Warriors specifically. I went to go see their game when they played Utah. It was actually funny. It was the night Jimmy Butler got traded to them.
Oh yeah,
So-
Pods cooked that night. Yeah.
He cooked. The whole thing was funny though, because I went there like an hour and a half early, 2 hours early. I like to watch the warm ups. I like to watch everything, right? So I saw Wiggins come out and warm up. I saw Dennis Schroeder come out and warm up. Those guys were like the first guys on the court, and they're warming up, and I'm sitting there watching them, and they're going through their whole thing. I think I saw Kyle Anderson come out and warm up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, whatever.
I
He's
don't
an
like
NBA player. It's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they take all those guys back into the locker room. Like Curry comes out to, and he does his whole fanfare almost with his warm up, and like everyone's cheering. That's what everyone's there to see. He comes out, he puts up like 2 shots. They pull him back into the locker room, right? And I'm like, so is he hurt? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, like I hear the buzz in my pocket, and everyone starts looking at their phones, and you just see Jimmy Butler traded to Warriors for Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Dennis Schroeder, and like picks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just saw Andrew Wiggins put up his last shots ever as a Golden State Warrior. Like
That's crazy.
that was wild to me. Like, and I don't know, it was just such a trippy night. But anyway, to get back to Pods, I think he's a great rebounder, first of all, for a point guard. His playmaking leaves a little bit of something to be desired from a point guard specifically, but it's still not bad. Like in terms of his abilities to get others involved. He's got a good handle. He's got a good shot. He takes advantage of the midi. He's got a good floater. His finishing around the rim is like, could use a little work, but his 3-point shot, he's gotten a rhythm to that. Like, I really like him. I hope he stays on the Warriors. It's just tough to put him above these other guys when they still have a higher ceiling than him.
Yeah.
He's almost capped by his stature a little bit, unfortunately.
For sure. But if we just talk about how they've played so far,
Mm-hmm.
there's a decent amount of guys who we drafted who have not been playing as well as Pods.
No, I mean, you look at his stats. He's averaging 26 minutes a game, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Can't see the assists, but I think he averages like 3 or 4 a game on 46% shooting at 36 from 3. And that's even with the horrible start that he had shooting threes this year.
Yeah. All right. If you shout him out, I'm going to shout my guy out.
Yeah.
You're going to hear the name Mo Gay real soon. Muhammad Gay, Gueye, is actually like pretty special. I'm not going to say special. He's great defensively. He's actually at 6'11", long wingspan, can block shots, can get steals, all this. Obviously athletic. If he ever gets that shot going, which by the way, I'm looking at this. It says 27 games played in his career. I think like 20 of them, or maybe more, have been played this season. I think he actually got like 1 or 2 games last season.
Yeah,
because he's actually been starting a lot.
I thought he was a rookie because I had never seen him before. I was like, this guy's either a rookie or he's been in the G League or he's been stashed overseas.
Yeah, so that's like the Hawks thing is if you're not the number 1 pick, you are in the G League the whole first. Jalen Johnson pretty much was in the G League his whole first year. Buffkin was. Just everyone really is.
Warriors love to do that too.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move.
Yeah, it's funny how frowned upon it is a little bit in the NBA to do that.
Well, it is because it's frustrating. You see a
Yeah.
guy hooping like that in the G League, and you see him not getting minutes when you
Yeah.
think there's a one or two guys in the rotation of your team that he could be playing better than. Trust me, I've gone through this with Jalen John. I'd still think, even though it was great for him, Johnson should have played way sooner than he did.
Yeah.
But maybe it was better for him.
But no, I think it is great for guys. I think like a guy like Quentin Post, he would have never found that same confidence with his shot if he just started out with the Warriors right away and he wasn't getting minutes.
Yeah.
But the fact that he went to the G League and was like the focal point of that offense for a good amount of the time really gave him confidence with his shot. And now he's hooping, he's shooting 43% from 3. Like,
Yeah.
no, I love him, but yeah, no, I think it's funny. It really is kind of a bias thing for basketball because I think people expect these prospects to be ready right out of the gate. But baseball's been doing this forever. Like,
Yeah.
baseball and their farm system and
3 different leagues. Well,
Hey.
4, I guess, including the MLB.
yeah, single A, double A, triple A.
And the real thing.
And the
I've always
real
wondered eventually if the NBA will do that. But I think it's enough right now.
I think it's fine right now. I mean, baseball obviously has so many more players, which is why I think they need to do that. But I could definitely see the NBA going that route in the future, where you get a more farm-like system, where it's kind of become standard to send guys to the G League first. You know, because it's like you draft these guys 1 year out of college, and you immediately put them in the pros and give them no time to learn what they're doing. Like, I think Scoot would have benefited from more time in the G League. And that's unfortunate because I think it's reflected poorly on him.
Yeah.
But, like, I just don't know that he was quite ready for the NBA.
I think you should have either, started him or put him in the G League. If doing this weird bench thing where he's not getting that many minutes.
Yeah, I think moving forward, they got to
Not a
make a
fan.
decision on him versus Anthony. I don't know how sustainable it is to have both of them, unless Anthony is really, like, down to move to a bench role. But that's tough. And I watch Anthony sometimes, and he looks like
Or
a
just
mid
start them
game.
both. I don't know.
I guess you could, but, like,
Them two, Kamara, whoever, whether it's Shane Sharp, Jeremy Grant, or Denny Avdia, whatever, and then Ayton or Klingon at the 5.
you know, I guess Portland has experience with undersized backcourts, so
Also, I personally think their chances are a little cooked right now of making the play-in, so you might as well experiment this.
oh yeah.
I mean, they have a chance. Don't get me wrong. They're only
I
like,
don't
what,
know.
3 games behind? But
I don't know as Portland, like you've had a great year based on the expectations that people had for you. What do you stand to gain out of making the play-in, other than a worse draft pick?
I guess fans are happy. But I mean, that's
I
really it.
guess, but it's like I feel like if you're a Portland Trailblazers fan, you're probably. I mean, I don't mean to speak for them, but you're probably already pretty happy with the way the season's gone.
Yeah, especially because you still have a really good chance of not really good, but you have a good chance of winning the draft or winning the lottery.
Yeah, but listen, the West is the West. You've got to beat one of either the Warriors, Timberwolves, or Clippers if you're the 9 or 10 seed to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, one of those teams is going to lose in the first play-in, and then...
But then again,
know.
it's already too late. Yeah, the Blazers can't tank to get a top 7 pick without winning the lottery, you know?
No.
So it's like you might as well make the play-in.
I guess. No, I mean, I guess...
And also, you can make the play-in and lose and still have a chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just like, as we see here, sometimes it pays to be in the top 7, 8, whatever, and sometimes you're going to find a diamond in the rough at 52, like the Trailblazers did.
I do believe that this year's draft will be a little different versus 2023, where you can find. I don't think all the top players will be at the top. I don't believe that Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and Cooper Flagg will be the top 3 guys in a redraft in a couple years.
I mean, I think that's fair to say. I don't know that. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is going to be the number 1 pick, I think, unless something unforeseeable happens.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller, Scoot, Amen, Asar, depending on how all those guys develop, it's debatable. Derek Lively, you know, even like a Cam Whitmore if he, you know, blows up on a team.
Yeah.
You know, like those guys, we look back in 10 years, it might look different too. But I mean, I think Cooper Flagg will be top 5 in his draft regardless. I think his floor is probably 5th best in the draft.
I mean, personally,
Like,
I think like 2 maybe, but
like,
that's just I'm
he's
just that high on him.
He's just too good. I mean, it's crazy to say, but I feel like he's just too good to just be bad. you know.
Yeah. You know what's crazier? James Najee, the 31st pick, never touched the NBA floor. That sucks.
No, he didn't.
Which, because there were some good players drafted after. Jalen Pickett right after isn't this great player, but he's been good for the Nuggets.
Yep. Jalen Pickett, Andre Jackson Jr.
Yeah, he's been good for the Bucks. Colby
Who was
Jones just
that?
dropped 24 points.
Julian
Phillips, Bulls.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you might not recognize it because of the team next to him. Jordan Walsh for the Celtics hasn't been
Yep.
great, but he's played or something.
Hunter Tyson was getting minutes against the Warriors the other night.
Oh, really? Oh, he's
I think
in
he
the rotation.
started because they were so hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Mo Gay.
Yeah, Mo Gay. Tristan Vukcevic, you know what? I'll shout him out as well. That dude can actually hoop. He plays for the Wizards, and like, there's something about him where he's like super skinny. He's like a 7-foot super skinny stretch five, but it works. Well, it doesn't because he's playing for the Wizards and they're losing. But it like whenever I watch it kind of looks like it works. Maxwell Lewis has been in the Brooklyn rotation.
Yeah.
Shout out him. I'm still super high on him. I think he'll be good. Leonard Miller, obviously, I'm still super high on. The fact that he doesn't get minutes makes me so mad. Like he's been in the G League for 2 years.
So there's only 3 guys in this whole draft who just haven't touched the league at all.
Only, but I feel like you have to touch it. Pause. But out of context, but like you would think in a normal draft that every player, especially in the top 35, for sure, every player is touching the court at least once. So the fact that a 31st pick didn't is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our redraft. I'm just gonna put it up on the screen probably because I already forget what we did, just to be honest. But
Yeah.
I mean, we can kind of go down memory lane, but oh well.
Take a little trip down memory lane.
Cool. But yeah, well, let's make this our own thing.
Yeah.
End it there. So if you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, and peace out.